Welcome to this EMS web training session. In this session, we're briefly going to discuss objectives and targets and their related POAMs on the EMS tab. Please note that we are not talking about POAMs related to findings. Rather, this is found under the EMS tab, under the O&Ts subtab and the POAMs subtab. So to create an objective and target, you would go to the O&Ts area and you would click on New Objective and Target. And so the idea here is that we want to identify and document all of the objectives and targets as required by your EMS policy. So this is typically a pretty simple matter. So you would put in your O&T name. So training example, and we'll say it's energy reduction. And so then if desired, you can put in the O&T type. All of the fields other than the O&T name are voluntary. So in this case, it would fall under the energy type. Document what your objective is. Reduce energy usage by 20% by end of 2021. Okay. And then you would document what your target is, your target date, when it gets completed, what your actual completion date is. You can define a responsible manager. That would be a EMS web personnel. So you just search in the text box for the name and then pick the appropriate person. You can define what media it belongs to, such as energy, and then any description. And so then the idea is that you would update this over time until it gets to 100% progress. Other things that you can relate this to are aspects. So if there's like a significant aspect that this O&T is targeting, you would probably want to relate it to that aspect or to that significant aspect. If there are any major pieces of equipment that are being targeted to help meet the goals of this O&T, then you can relate it to any existing equipment that's been identified under the EMS data, for your aspects and equipment. And then under the documents area, you're able to click in here and upload any additional documentation. If that document already resides under the document tab, then you can click on attach existing document, and then you can just link to the existing document. And then once you do all of that, then you have any appropriate supporting information for that objective and target. So that's the functionality in the O&T section. And then we can go to the POAMs. So when we create a POAM, from this tab, it's not being related to anything because we just created it from the POAM table. So where it says related to, it is marked as independent, meaning it's not tied to an O&T, it's not tied to a finding or anything else. And then you would define what the synopsis is after the mandatory POAM name, who the responsible manager is, and then provide a target date when the date is actually completed. And if you have a specific document that holds the POAM, then you can upload it here. So this is generally used in those rare cases where the POAM and milestones are being tracked in a separate Excel spreadsheet, and then you just want to upload the spreadsheet to this POAM in EMS Web. So for each POAM, you can add in milestones. So you can add in one or more, specify what the plan of action is, what are the things that I need to do, when do I need to get it done by, and what the progress is. So let's say it was already 25% complete. And then you can add in one or more milestones. And so then every so often the idea is you're going to go in and update this milestone, and then you can do that by just clicking into this green area. So this is a special table where we've customized it so that any of the green areas you can edit and update without having to go into the milestone profile. So I can change it from 25 to 15, then just click anywhere outside and it gets updated. So if you're coming in here once a quarter and updating all of your milestones, then it's really quick and easy to do so. Okay, so we created a independent milestone. You can, or independent POAM, and then you can create POAMs that are related to findings, and you can create POAMs that are related to O&Ts as well. So you can see that when we look at this POAM, it is related to the objective and target. And then if I click on that link, it takes me to the objective and target. So if we go back to that POAM or that objective and target that we created, we can see all of the details I entered in here when I first created it, and then you can see that there's an Add POAM button here. So if we click on that, then we can create a POAM, and then that POAM is automatically tied to that objective and target. Okay, so that is the main purpose of objective and targets and the POAM subtabs under the EMS tab.